What if I were to say that being passed over for a promotion or losing an account could be the best thing that ever happened for your life? You'd probably say I was crazy. But by the end of this episode, you're going to relook at that. As painful and hurtful as being passed over for a promotion or losing an account is, all the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it, and no shot. Those are hurtful. But whatever you do in those moments, don't prove them right. Don't be so fully charged in emotion and act in such a way where others justify that moment that you acted out of character and say, that's why we didn't choose you. Today on The Sales Life is a confrontation episode, and the person that you're confronting is yourself. Why were you passed over for promotion? Why did you not get the account? It's an honest assessment. It's a gut check. And I'm telling you, if you do this right, it's going to change everything in your life. I speak from firsthand experience. But before we roll out with today's episode, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Marsh, and I'm the host of The Sales Life. I believe the number one skill that you need in life to never settle and be ready for anything is the ability to sell. But you don't have to be in sales to learn how to sell. I'll take the 24 years that I've learned in the profession, and I'll show you how you can apply these skills to every area of your life. That way you'll be RFA, ready for anything. These 5 skills are already within. Now I'll help you develop them so you'll never go without. On The Sales Life, you'll learn how to negotiate with yourself and others through communication and productive confrontation. You'll also learn the power of curiosity, asking questions and not living in statements. When you lack resources, how to get resourceful through the power of creativity. And the foundation to it all, continuous learning and taking action on what you've learned. So if you're trying to get back up after life has slapped you down, or you're trying to move up because you feel like that life has stalled you out, selling will take you there. Life is sales, sales is life. Welcome to The Sales Life. Let's get on with today's episode. You know, one of the most gratifying things in the sales profession is when others leave you to pursue other interests and come back just to say hi. And one of my coworkers came by, and I hadn't seen him in probably 10 years. And he's done well for himself. Got a great family and is running a store that has finished in the top 10 in the nation repeatedly. And as we were talking, I just noticed his demeanor. And I just had to stop him, and I said, you know, you're very zen-like, very calm. And I could tell behind his eyes there was something more there. And he said, yeah, it took a lot of work to get here. I had to learn to manage my emotions. And he went on to tell me about the first time he was passed over for a promotion. He really felt like he was in his spot. And he had done well in learning everything he could about the store. And he felt like when the spot came open for management, he was going to be ready. That was his goal. And so the spot opened up and he interviewed along with another guy. My buddy lost out. And the other guy got promoted. The other guy wasn't half as talented and knowledgeable as my buddy was. And I asked him, when that happened, how'd you feel? And he said, I was hurt. And looking at him, I could see that he was reliving the emotion. I said, what did you do? He said, I didn't want to prove him right. He said, I didn't want to bail out and go somewhere else or stir up a bunch of division and confusion within the company. He said, if I would have done that, that would have given them justification to say, that's why we didn't promote you. So he said, I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction. I wasn't going to prove him right. I rolled up my sleeves And I just kept on working. A short time later, my buddy's suspicions were true. See, the other guy who he lost out to put on a good front, but he couldn't sustain that front. He couldn't lead a store. And he was fired. Spot opened up, and my buddy slid into the management position. And he's been there ever since. As a matter of fact, he's continuing to climb, and now he's going for a regional manager. So I wish him the best of luck. And after this conversation, it just got me to thinking, there are going to be times, very hurtful moments, that the ball doesn't bounce your way. And like my friend, when you're in one of those moments where you get passed over for a promotion, and you know that it should have been you, whatever you do, the number one rule to remember is to not prove them right. That'll leave a stain that they'll never forget. Use the aftermath to do some aftermath, some calculations, and really do a gut check, really do an assessment. The first question you got to ask when you're passed over for a promotion, were you really ready? Truthfully, were you really ready? I remember the first time I was passed over for a promotion. I was hurt, man. I was like the golden child. I was the heir to the throne. I got satisfied. I got lapped. And the guy that got the shot, he deserved it. I didn't. But it took an honest assessment for me to look at that and say, you weren't ready. And so sometimes that's the first thing you got to do. You got passed over for a promotion. Instead of sitting there blaming and stirring up a bunch of mess and creating your own little posse, have some alone time and ask yourself, was I really ready? Maybe life did you a favor and put you in the co-pilot seat. So that way you're close, but you're not on. You're close enough to be able to draw on the skills that you need to develop, some areas of weaknesses. So that way you'll be ready to lead a team. Maybe as an employee, as great as you are at bringing consistent results, can you teach it as a manager? I wasn't the greatest salesperson, but I'm a great coach. I know the psyche. I know what to get you ready for. I know what to expect. I know how to draw it out of you. Can you teach what you know? Because when you're in management, it's not what you can do. It's what you can collectively get others to do as well. The first challenge I would ask you would be, have you shared all of your secrets? Because so many times in an effort to excel, we learn these things along the way. And because we learn them, they're like Easter eggs, man. We pull them in and we hold them and we covet them. They've gotten you successful. Are you willing to start sharing that with others? Now that you've gotten passed over for promotion, use this time to begin sharing those secrets. What are some ways that you deal with difficult situations? Take someone along with you. Let them see it firsthand and then sit there and talk about it. How do you handle a crisis? How do you handle the fact that you're running out of money? How do you stay organized? Who are your mentors? What books have changed your life? What videos do you always go to when you're just down in the dumps? What podcasts do you listen to? See, these are things that you need to be sharing. Which brings me to my second point. You're building an alliance of individuals who are actually strengthening. The store is getting stronger, and you're not even leading it from a badge, but you're leading it in their hearts. And they see that you take the time out and build them up. People want to belong. And the fact that you start investing in others and sharing what you know and coaching them along the way, it gives them a sense of purpose. It gives them a sense of someone notices me. Because I think sometimes as managers, in an effort to get through a month, a quarter, a year, we're so focused on what's on that spreadsheet. Yet we lose sight of the fact of developing the people that have everything to do with the results that go on that spreadsheet. Understand this now. You're not even in management. Good. So that way you start building that alliance. That way you start learning how to teach others and you don't get frustrated and snap. It's training ground for you. The third point I want to make, now that you're passed over for promotion, you don't have the pressures that management do. You're a protected class. You're just an employee. And because you're in the co-pilot seat, it was you and the other trying to get that top spot. They got it. You're not all butthurt. You're actually helping that other person by coaching others. You can coach them. They can't. You know they can't. Do it. You're sharing your secrets. They have no secrets. They BS their way to get to where they're at. Whatever. Doesn't matter. You do your part. And so the fact that you got passed over for promotion and you're in the co-pilot seat, yet you don't have all the pressures of what a normal manager has, you can learn to spot what they do well and begin to work on the areas that they don't do well. And thinking to yourself that when I get my shot, this is what I'll institute. And it may somewhere within that, as the trust develops between you and the person who got promoted, if you can put your ego aside, man, this is a big maturity stage for you. Maybe they'll have that trust factor, and then you can begin to implement some of these ideas that you have. If they kick the ideas, no big deal. You're not leading the store. Just pocket them, write them down, record them. That way, when you get your shot, you'll be ready for it. What's good about this is when you get passed over for a promotion, asking yourself if you were really ready, learning how to teach others, building an alliance, sharing your secrets, developing a core. So when you do get your shot, you won't spend any time trying to convince others. Those who follow you will say, we know why he's here. This is why we're with him. Now, what I've been largely talking about is those who were passed over for promotion. But what I'm talking about also applies to those who are in commissions, agents, and salespeople. Yeah, I'm talking to you too. Because I've seen countless times where a salesperson has lost the account, whether it be a long-standing account that they had and someone came in and swooped them away, or it was an account that you worked so hard on and you didn't get it. When you don't land the account or you lose the account, whatever you do, don't prove them right. I've seen countless times where salespeople in the beginning were so gracious and so attentive and so easygoing and laughable. I mean, they're just vibing with the customer. And the minute the customer chooses to go somewhere else, whether it be they don't renew and they go elsewhere, or they just don't even go with you at all. I've seen some of the nicest, friendliest salespeople. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde moment. In the beginning, they were the picture perfect agent, picture perfect salesperson. And the minute they were told, no, we're going elsewhere, they turn. They're calloused. They're cold. Their answers are sharp, short. They're just nasty, rude. And see, it's in that moment. You just left a stain a stain that your customer will never forget about. And actually, you acting wrong proves they were right. And they say, that's why we didn't go with him. I'm glad you're angry. I'm glad you're hurt. But live to fight another day, man. You lost the account for a season. Don't do something that ensures that you lose it for a lifetime by acting out of character and just start slinging mud. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's actually going to make your situation way worse. Because let me tell you something, they'll be back in the market. And if your suspicions are right, if you feel like that you lost out to someone else who is way more inferior than you, who doesn't even offer a product as good as you, if you're right about that, let it happen. They made their decision. You continue to work on you in the meantime. And so when that decision comes back around and they realize that that other agent didn't fulfill the promises or it wasn't the right fit, if you act professional the whole time and you continue to cultivate, then when they come back around, they'll say, hey, remember me? And you'll be ready. In these moments, man, this is where I want you to do a gut check. And here's a few things I want you to ask yourself. Number one, when you don't land the account or you lost the account, first question I want to ask you is, did you lose your appreciation? Have you become a little calloused? Because as rejection mounts up, you can get a little cold. Another question you got to ask yourself, if you lost the account, did you take them for granted? And many times, as your relationship matures with that long-standing account, maybe your level of service began to erode instead of evolve over time. The third challenge I would ask you, did you assume? Did you assume that you knew what was best for them? Or you assumed that when they were ready for something more or different, they knew who to come to? Maybe you assumed that. And someone else came in and began to woo them. And what you were spending most of your time doing is chasing new accounts instead of cultivating old ones. The fourth challenge, and this applies to all of us, maybe it's you. Maybe you've just dry rotted and you're using old school techniques, old school tactics. You're relying on old memories, yesteryear, and you've become powdery, crusty. You're just winging it every day, dialing it in. And there's all this advancement, all this technology, all this evolution happening. And you're like, no, I'm not doing that. Okay? So maybe it's you. Let me wrap up with this. If you take the time and assess these moments and really ask yourself these questions, you'll spot the areas that were blind spots for you, that you missed out, that you eased up, and begin working on these areas. So that way you'll be ready for the next opportunity, whether it be a new opportunity or old opportunities that come back around. In either case, you'll be ready for them. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. You want more? I got you covered. Head over to the home of The Sales Life. Go to thesaleslife.me. That's thesaleslife.me. In the top right are links to all the socials where I hang out. And in the bottom right is a microphone from you to me. Leave me a message. Let me know what's going on in your world and how I can help. I'm no hair, but I'm all ears. While you're there, enjoy thousands of free resources from blogs to podcasts and also a link to the YouTube Sales Life channel. Never settle. Keep selling. Stay in the sales life.